I'm back, jack of all trades, master of none. Today I'm going to show you some of the things I've dehydrated, actually it's pumpkin, in my dehydrator, and how I process it, and then I'm going to show you how I cut my vegetables and then fill it up. But just before I do that, I wanted to show you a couple of little soaps I made. I'll bring it a little bit closer so that you get to see it. This is just from pieces of soap that I save. You know all those tiny little pieces that everybody throws out because you can't hold them any longer? Well, I just save them, and then I put them in a pot, put them on the back of my wood stove with a little bit of water so it doesn't burn, and then within 15-20 minutes it's melted, and then I just pour it into a little container. These could be anything, but this is my soap forms that I use normally, and that's one other project that I will be doing is making soap. So anyhow, I thought it was such a cute idea, and it looks so nice and smells wonderful because it has 25 different fragrances in it. So don't throw out your old soaps, just reuse them, and then reuse them until they're all gone. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what I've done. This, I use my KitchenAid here. It's a machine that I bought from Eaton's. When Eaton's company in Winnipeg on Portage Avenue was closing, how many years ago? 25 years ago? I bought this machine for half price, and then I paid $200 for it. So it's a heavy duty, wonderful machine. I've used it constantly throughout all these years, through all my kids and all the vegetables and soups and canning and everything else that I do. It hasn't quit on me, and it's an exceptional machine. It has a great blade on it. It's a metal blade. I also have plastic blades, and I also have other blades that I can use to make coleslaw or whatever. But anyhow, this is the container, and I'm going to be taking out my dehydrating shelves. Now, I've already broken this up just to show you. This is pumpkin. I cooked my pumpkin. I put all the spices that I like, you know, like pumpkin pie spices. That's exactly what it smells. It smells like pumpkin pie. Anyhow, I crumble it all up because it gets very hard on here, and I'll show you in one of my trays what it looks like. But then I just take it out, or I just loosen it up and pour it into my holder here for my KitchenAid. And you can crumb it, or you can leave it this type of crumb. It's up to you. It's how you want to use it. I like to make it nice and powdery, so I throw it into anything. I throw it on top of ice cream. I put it in Jell-O. I put it on top of puddings, an ice cream cone. Whatever you can think of putting in the flavor in your coffee. If you want a nice kick of pumpkin, makes a bit of a mess, but that's okay. This is just to show you how to do it. I can clean it up later. So now I put this onto my stem of my machine, and it's got to go around the other way. And then I just click it on, put my lid on. Got a little bit of crumbs here. It's going to make a noise, but that's okay. And then it just crumbles it up. Do I want it more? A little more. You can either turn it on or you can pulse it like that. Whatever you're looking Okay, so now I've got it probably as much as I want to make it. You may want it nice and really powdery. This for me is just flaky. And that's kind of the way I like it, because you get a little flavor of the pumpkin when you throw it into whatever you want to throw it into. Okay. Now. So now I've got myself a funnel. And I have a jar. I always keep, as soon as I use up my jars, I clean them and then put them upside down on my shelf if I know I'm going to be throwing something into them. So I just put my funnel on top of my jar and just pour this in. Now, by the time I'm done, I'll have a full jar. But for the time being, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to show you what I put in to keep it from picking up moisture from the air. You can do it even if you have a good lid on it. These are those little silicone packs. It's called a silicone gel packet. And you can buy them online, the whole bag. If you're interested, I can put that online, absorbentindustries.com. That's where you want to go if you want to order that. And then I just throw this in, close it up, and it stays fine for as long as I need it to be. Alright, so now the next little part of my business is to get this out of the way first. Show you what it looks like. And I have another tray that I've already broken, but I'll pull this up. Now this is what the pumpkin looks like. I put it on a piece of plastic, well, or parchment paper. You don't need to. When I got my machine, I got these plastic sheets with it. But anyhow, see, it comes off kind of like leather, and you want to use these little sheets, whether it's parchment or not. I have one that's parchment, and I'll show you shortly. But then, anyhow, you just break it apart. It just falls off like water off a duck's back. And then you crumble it up, put it into the machine, and off you go again. And I'll show you the one where I used parchment. Parchment isn't as nice. See, it's a lot harder. It's hard to take off. So you certainly can. I can take it off. It's not as nice as that plastic one. So okay, I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll... Okay, so I'm cutting the carrots. I think you can see that. And I've got a full tray just about ready here. It's always great to have a good knife. I like to use a butcher knife. You can use a nice sharp knife or a serrated knife. You choose however you want to use it. So this is, or what kind of knife you want to use. This is the tray, the first tray, and you can see how thick I made my carrots, about 1/4 inch, all the way around. And now I just put it into my Excalibur food dehydrator. Now, the difference with this kind of a dehydrator is that the fan is at the back. So it's coming and it's blowing all across all the trays in the front. I used to have, and I still do, a round one that you had the fan from the bottom blowing the air up, then you had your trays up on top, and I was forever moving my trays down and switching them around to try to get the even amount of air. So this really works well. And not only that, it has a temperature gauge that you can put your, whatever you're doing at the right temperature. Now, I like to put my vegetables at 135. That's 135 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a dehydrator, then you can use your oven. If you can get it down as low enough, say to 100, 135, even 150, but 150 is going to probably cook the food instead of dehydrating it. So you got to try to get as low as you can. And if you can't use your oven, you can sun dry vegetables. If you have a nice sunny south window, put it on a tray, something like this that you can put air in, and then put it on top of something so that the air can go up and around. It would be nice if you had a fan on it as well. That would help with the sun drying it. Where there's a will, there's a way. So don't ever forget, you don't need the fancy equipment to do something. You can do it the old-fashioned way. So I'm just going to finish up these carrots, and then I'm going to do celery. I also pulled out some garlic I had in the fridge, and because it's spring, it started to grow. It's very interesting. I have to show you pieces of garlic that I pulled out that already have roots on them. Now I had them, the skin off of them, and I had just put them in the fridge so I could use them quickly. But it's got a little sprout on it. It's got the roots. Look at that. So I'm not going to, of course, cut these up. I'm going to throw them in a pot with some soil, and they'll start up nice and fresh, or be ready for the garden, because garlic can go in the garden as soon as, look at that one, that's really nice and big. As soon as it's warm enough that the snow is gone, you can put it into the garden. So I have other garlic here that I'm just going to cut in half, and then I'm going to dehydrate that as well. I've got ginger. I'm also going to get cut up because it's getting old. I've had it in the fridge for a good month. And of course the celery. So I'm going to get started on this, and then I'll come right back and show you the results of what I've done. I've done 2 trays of carrots, and I finished 1 tray of celery. Now I use everything from the celery. The little, even the little florets that's in the center looks, you know, like leaves. I certainly use that too because that has a lot of flavor. And now I just put it in. I have a lot of room for a lot of trays, but I am leaving every second space empty so that it has less room and it'll dry quicker. So I've also cut now the ginger. Got all that ready. And I've cut it in quarters as well, because I don't want a huge piece or it'll take forever to dry. And I do want it to dry close to the same time as everything else, so I don't have that machine on for too long. I hate using hydro. Have to, of course, but I hate abusing it because it costs so much, especially during winter. But my wood stove sure helps. Okay, so I don't put anything else in with the ginger because I don't want, even though there are different flavors in that machine, it shouldn't affect it too much if you have it on separate trays. Now, everything that I'm putting in here would go well with each other. So the flavors, the smells, the scents, whatever, will go very well with celery or with carrots. And the garlic, I'm just going to cut off the little ends and cut it in half. Some ends aren't heavy, aren't thick, so I don't even worry about them. And one or two of them are already starting to grow, but I did want to dry some garlic, so I'm just going to put it together, put it in there. I've got quite a few I saved, like I showed you. And I did come across a carrot that was starting to send out a shoot for leaves. Now, I don't know if you're aware that, but carrots is a plant that is a biennial. So a biennial means it grows one year, blossoms the next. I'm just going to put this in, close it up, and I'll start it very shortly. Just want to finish what I was going to say. I wanted to show you this carrot. Now, some carrots really grow fast, like you have a big mount on it. But this carrot I'm going to plant as well. Probably not in the garden yet, of course. It's going to be in a pot along with my garlic. And then I'm going to transplant it into the garden. And this should blossom this summer. And then I can get the seeds. So I'm one for grabbing all the seeds I can from my own garden and not depend on the seed stores, because as we all know, it's getting tougher and tougher to find seeds. So if you choose to do that, you can. If not, just cut it off. Nothing's wrong with the carrot. Just cut it off and use it just like you would normally. So that's about it for today. This will go on at 135. It'll take probably 24 hours, maybe a little longer. I'll look at it tonight in about 6 hours and kind of move things around. You pull the trays out and kind of wiggle things around so they get more air, so the dehydrator is working on parts that it hasn't been able to catch. I did finish up that pumpkin, so I got just about a whole jar full, and that was 2 pie pumpkins I used. Pie pumpkins, not, I mean, you can use the jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, but they don't have a heck of a lot of flavor. It's a pie pumpkin. It's a bright orange skin of the pumpkin when you see it in the store. And I did save seeds from that, which is a store pumpkin, and it'll grow just fine. Like, I think I mentioned that before. You can save seeds from, you buy things at the store. This carrot was from the store. I grow carrots, but I don't grow lots because I hate to dig them. So when they're on sale, I do buy them. But homegrown carrots taste so much better than store-bought. It's just unbelievable the difference when you do it yourself compared to buying it from wherever, Mexico, California, heaven forbid, China. Try not to buy anything from China. But anyhow, that's my choice, and everybody chooses for themselves. That's about it again. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming to look at Jacqueline of all trades, master of none. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.